Hello there, fellow Springfieldians, and welcome back to the Simpsons Theory. The Simpsons are known for their wacky and hilarious antics, but people sometimes forget that the show also has its dark moments. Throughout the show, there have been some trippy and quite frankly terrifying imagery that has kept us up at night, and we are going to look at some of those today. For this video, I'm specifically leaving out Treehouse of Horror episodes, otherwise this video would be an hour long. So grab your blanket to hide behind, as I'm Lydia from the Simpsons Theory, and this is the 10 scariest Simpsons moments that gave us nightmares. If you are new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button and press the thumbs up, it really helps me out. Number 10. Homer's Chili Trip, The Mysterious Voyage of Homer. This is one of the most surreal episodes of The Simpsons ever made. Homer goes to a chili cook-off where he shows an extraordinary ability to withstand hot foods. Until he tries Chief Wiggum's chili. Homer is conquered by the chili that holds a vital ingredient, the merciless pepper of a place that's far too long. But not wanting to admit defeat, he coats his tongue with a protective wax and tries the scorching food again. This causes him to hallucinate and go on an insane chili-fueled trip. This is a beautifully animated segment with vivid colours and psychedelic imagery. In this vision, there are giant butterflies and wise-talking coyotes. But the part that freaked many people out is the scene with the faceless Marge. Upon climbing the pyramid, he finds Marge, but when she doesn't respond, he spins around his wife. All the while, her body endlessly rotates, revealing her long blue hair, before her body disintegrates into dust, leaving behind a pile of ashes, like Thanos' snap. This is a surreal and oddly terrifying moment. The absence of a face, complete with a strange alien landscape, is quite unsettling in all the best ways. Number 9. Bed Clown. Lisa's first word. Bart's favourite person in the world is of course Krusty the Clown. His entire room is full of Krusty merchandise. He even owns Krusty's pregnancy test. Naughty boy. Bart wasn't always a fan of clowns. In a flashback to his childhood, we see that Homer has built Bart a bed. Nope, not the legendary race car bed. Homer created a bed of nightmares. He created it into the shape of a clown. Not a fun, happy clown like Krusty, no. This is the demon from hell and has large black bottomless pits for eyes, with jagged crooked teeth that look hungry, eager to consume you. Sure, it's probably all in little Bart's mind, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was really alive. This bed could give Pennywise a run for his money for the most terrifying clown. Number 8. Big Book of British Smiles. Last exit to Springfield. As a British girl, I should be pretty offended by the stereotype, even if I did wear braces for 4 years. When Lisa needs braces, she goes to visit the dentist. While we're there, we see poor Ralph in the chair. When he's asked how often he brushes his teeth, he answers, 3 times a day, sir. The vampiric dentist utters,
"Why must you turn my office into a house of lies?"
After Ralph breaks down and admits he doesn't brush, he is shown the Big Book of British Smiles. Inside the book, we are shown people with disfigured, crooked, rotten teeth. As a child, this really freaked me out. Who honestly likes going to the dentist anyway? There are many scary scenes within this episode. When Lisa is shown a simulation of what her teeth will look like without braces, she gets shown her teeth getting longer, sharper, until they pierce through her skin. It's a ghastly, grotesque sight. Number 7. Heartbroken. New kid on the block. Bart falls in love with his new next-door neighbour, the young teenager Laura Powers. The only problem, she's 5 years older than him. However, despite the large age gap, Bart is completely smitten, vowing to never wash his hands after she spat on it. Very romantic. But when Laura tells Bart she's dating a local bully, Jimbo Jones, he is heartbroken, quite literally. Bart imagines her reaching into his chest and pulling out his throbbing heart. She then tells him he won't be needing it anymore before kicking it into the trash. Set against a black background and silhouetted with red vivid colours, it's like something straight out of a horror movie. The way the organ slides down the wall, leaving a crimson trail in its wake, it's pretty gruesome to watch. Not only is this a little gross, it's painful on another level. We've all had it in a moment of our life where someone doesn't feel quite the same way as us romantically, and it feels exactly like this. Number 6. Bart's guilt. Bart vs. Thanksgiving. In this classic episode, Bart destroys a centerpiece that Lisa made, ruining Thanksgiving dinner. After being cast off to his room, Bart runs away. He finds himself in the seedy and overall poorer side of town and wanders into a soup kitchen. While talking to the homeless people, Bart realizes that he has a lot to be thankful for. He then goes back home to ask for forgiveness. But whilst he ponders at the door, he imagines his family's reactions. This is where it gets scary. The colours darken and the family elongate around him, staring him down with anger and evil in their eyes before blaming Bart for all of their problems. Even Maggie joins in and says he's the reason that she can't talk. This not only is a visually scary scene, it's a fitting representation of social anxiety. Thus, imagining horrible scenarios where you feel responsible for misfortune, you feel defeated and accept any blame that may come your way. I would just like to say a big thank you to Jessie Porter for becoming our newest Flying Hellfish Patreon. Thank you, Jessie. Number 5. Hit and run. Bart get hit by a car. Yes, another Bart entry. While out riding on his skateboard, Bart is hit by a car. Who's driving the car? Mr. Burns, of course. The Simpsons take the millionaire to court to sue him for all he's worth. While taking a stand, Bart tells his extravagant tale of what happened. According to the little tyke, he was innocently riding his skateboard when Mr. Barnes charges in with his luxury car of death. Burnsy is slobbering with excitement as he tries to mow down the defenseless child. His teeth are sharp and his eyes are manic with bloodlust, and his demon car blows the boy over. Mr. Burns looks like something from a nightmare. This is our second reference to Bart's destructive imagination, distorting reality, albeit for different motives, but still, it still goes on to prove that Bart has a scary little mind. Number 4. Homer finds a corpse. The Blunder Years. While the Simpsons family are out for dinner, Homer is hypnotized into believing he's a 12-year-old boy. But once under the trance, he begins to scream hysterically. Homer continues to scream non-stop for the next few days. To try and get to the root cause of this hidden trauma, he drinks yaki tea. This tea takes him back to his childhood with young Carl, Lenny and Moe. Later on, Homer jumps into a quarry only to find out too late that the water is replaced by a thin layer of mud. In order to refill it, Homer pokes into the blockage until the water gushes out. When he looks down, he finds a decaying body on his lap. The corpse's head is cracked open, showing the fleshy brain beneath. And the way the sludge and water pool out of his eyes and mouth is sickening. And if this wasn't bad enough, 2 inquisitive worms crawl out from his nose and mouth before Homer begins to scream. This scene is mirroring Stephen King's Stand By Me, which invokes a similar fear and shock of seeing a real dead body. But The Simpsons' raw graphic detail furthers the shock, even if it's a cartoon. Number 3. Halloween of Horror. Yes, I know, I said no Treehouse of Horror, but this isn't actually a Treehouse of Horror episode. It's actually the first Halloween-themed episode of The Simpsons to be fully canon, and the only one to date that's not part of the Treehouse of Horror series. There are some pretty scary moments in this episode. The Simpsons family goes to Krusty Land Halloween Horror, but while at the park, Lisa gets scared and becomes lost. While wandering around hopelessly, she asks a kindly woman for help, only for a freaky demon baby wielding a chainsaw to pop up from out of the pram. She then runs into the park security office, only for an alien to burst out of a man's stomach. Fleeing in terror, she finds herself in the middle of a zombie horde. Their skin is putrid and rotten, their eyes missing and their intestines hanging out. They march towards the little girl with a devious intent, their gnarled hands stretched out to tear her apart, before collapsing in terror and going into shock, and who could blame her? Of course, none of it is real and it's all props and actors, but that doesn't make it any less creepy. Number 2. Lisa's Trip. Selma's Choice. This is a fantastic episode, focused on Selma, who is thinking of settling down and starting her own family. Whilst deciding on a donor, she takes Bart and Lisa to Duff Gardens. The 3 of them go on the Little Land of Duff, a parody of It's a Small World. I personally don't know which one's creepier. While on the ride, Bart dares Lisa to drink some of the suspect water. After some encouragement from Selma, Lisa gulps down a handful of the dark, mysterious liquid. This causes her to go on some sort of psychedelic trip. The song becomes distorted and the figures somehow become even scarier, staring into her soul. And Selma transforms into a ghastly green monster with numerous eyes and a long lizard-like tongue. If that wasn't freaky enough, her shoulders morph into snapping growths, which hiss and snarls through sharp-pointed teeth. Wow, imagine if this happened to you on It's a Small World. Number 1. Homer's melting face, brother from the same planet. After Bart's football game, Homer was supposed to pick him up, but surprise, surprise, the big O forgot. So poor Bart has to wait and wait. He has to wait in the rain, in the wind, and is almost struck by lightning. While Homer is sleeping, he dreams of finding Bart reduced to nothing but bones. Upon waking up, he jumps into his car to finally pick up his forgotten son. Homer tries to appease Bart with an ice cream sundae, but that only ends up, well, on top of his head, which obviously heightens the 10-year-old's angst. When Bart turns to glare at his father, he imagines Homer's face melting, his skin dripping off his skull, revealing pink muscle underneath. His empty eyes are milky white, and we can see some fleshy gums inside his wide open mouth. This is without doubt one of the most scariest moments from the entire show. Did any of these moments scare you? Let us know in your comments below. I would like to say a big thank you to Jesse Porter and James Whitehead for being a Flying Hellfish member. If you would like to see your name featured in the credits, get a limited edition Flying Hellfish sticker, and to support this little yellow channel, then please check out my Patreon in the description below.